That's why we have the live stream. So thank you so much for letting us know that, Maurice. So we didn't have sound for a second, but that's okay. We're back on. So I will then say, welcome you guys all to Can Jam SoCal 2024. And
so we can repeat what
we
were
can
just saying.
repeat. Yeah, we were just talking about how this year's Can Jam in SoCal is huge. And then Rob was saying that he's going to be going to every single Can Jam, and all of them, including the one coming up in Dallas, which is where their distributor is located, and he loves the barbecue food down there. And we were just kind of talking about Texas. Yeah, we were just having fun talking about barbecue in Texas. So you didn't really miss anything critical about Chord products or anything. So, but we're happy to have you here, and thank you so much, Mauricio, so much for letting me know that. We didn't want to get too far in the stream. So anyways, so happy to have you with us. Like I said at the beginning of it, I was introducing Rob, and I said, we are just so fond of this gentleman because he's so knowledgeable, and he gives us his time to the community to discuss not just his products, but just sound in general and the science and the technology behind it. So thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. So with that, let's talk about your new flagship scaler. This is the hot topic that everybody in the world is kind of really wanting to know and hear more about. So I'm going to let you do your thing because you have the knowledge. So talk to us a little bit about it.
So it's called the Quartet M scaler. We showed it possibly a little bit too early at Munich. It's a project I've been working on since 2018.
Wow.
I've spent more time on this project than anything in my life. I think I'm up to 5 man-years on it, at least 4 man-years.
Wow. It's a serious investment.
It's a serious investment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course I have to fund that myself.
Right.
I'm not complaining about Chord, but
right.
My funding model is once they produce something, I get paid a royalty. So
right.
It's all, and I've done it because I knew there was going to be big benefits sound quality-wise.
Yep.
And that's the first reason, musical sound quality. The second reason was intellectual.
Right.
We both heard the effects of the M scaler.
Oh yes.
How much of a difference the M
Huge
scaler
difference.
makes.
Yep.
And I wanted to know how much further can we push the envelope.
Right.
Can we get much better sound or just a little bit better sound? I knew we were going to get some improvement.
Right.
That was going to be inevitable. But it was it's been a very, very interesting experience, and I've kind of gone into the rabbit hole and found things that I just never expected. So it's been an interesting experience.
So, like the M scaler took what was it, to over 1 million taps or something like that, right? Correct. And then what is the new version?
So this is 4 million taps.
Whoa!
But it's got 5 200T FPGAs.
Wow.
So it's doing things to a different level of precision that I have with the existing M scaler. Of course, it won't replace the Hugo.
Well, sure, yeah.
A lot more expensive.
This is the flagship level we're talking about, top tier.
It's the match day.
Yeah.
It's the match day. So now the design is still not finished, which means we have to be tentative about saying when it's becoming available.
Right.
So I'm hoping I'm going to sign it off, finish the design in the next couple of months, and then it will probably take 6 months before we're into production. So
makes sense.
So we are talking about next year. So touch wood.
Knock on wood next year. Yeah.
But at the moment, there are still some design work I need to do to finish things off. But most of what I'm actually doing is test work and evaluation work, and making sure everything is correct. And that test work threw up some interesting things, because I was hoping to complete it by now. And over the summer, I had enough time to finish it and get everything done and push the button to go into production. But we discovered some interesting things, and that's kind of delayed everything.
Sure.
So one of the issues that I had is that the filter coefficients, I found that on listening tests, I required much greater levels of accuracy than I needed before. Horrendous levels of accuracy. And I kept improving that and getting better performance. But I ended up running at 40 decimal points to do the computations, aggressive noise shaping on it, playing around with the structure and all this kind of stuff. But I couldn't verify that I was getting the performance I was expecting on paper.
Right.
So what my son did was to create an FFT algorithm from first principles so that we could analyze the filter coefficients to any degree of accuracy. So in this case, we can run at 1,000 digits, create a sine wave to 1,000 digits, and do an FFT with 1,000 digit resolution. In that case, you get distortion and noise at 3,500 dB. That just proved that the tools worked and that his computation was correct.
I love that it's like a family affair now. That's so cool.
Yeah, so
because I remember last time we talked, you were talking a little bit about how he's starting to involve himself more and more. But
so he's getting quite more. His math skills is better than mine because it's a long time since I
had to use that kind of math.
Yeah, doing that kind of maths, and I don't have the time.
Sure.
So it's something I could do, but I set him the summer project. So he's studying at Surrey University, doing the Tom Meister degree for recording. He's actually in Belgium now on his year placement.
That's so
in a
cool.
recording studio. Anyway, that's beside the point. So his math skills meant that he could do this, and he did it in a few weeks. So we now have the capability of rather than being limited to Windows 64-bit floating point, which limits everything to 300 dB, we can now do any precision we like if we compute it.
So cool.
Then we run the coefficients through, and this was the scary thing. It was nothing like what I expected. And the tools that I'd been using to create these coefficients were flawed, it was faulty. And that really was, when I found out, I was horrified. Because everything was based on listing tests, and my listing tests indicated that my paper calculations would indicate a certain number, and that should come through in terms of the measurements, and it wasn't coming through that way. So it meant that I had to, now that we knew what the issue was and changed our tool set so that we now had this much better precision, all the listening tests that I did on Quartet I had to rerun and redo it.
Oh my goodness.
Because I thought, maybe there was something wrong with the listening tests, the optimization process, and you're doing a completely different set of coefficients with a different calculation routine, and proving it was there. Fortunately, the numbers to do the calculations that was subjectively optimized came out to be the same.
Oh, good.
So that was really good. It meant
it's a relief.
That was a big relief.
Yeah.
That my listening was correct.
Good.
But then I had to answer the question, well, why were these things different in sound? Because it wasn't what I thought it was. It was something else. And that was really interesting. So the long and short of it is we're getting better sound quality now.
There you go.
It's not a huge difference, but it's a better sound quality. And it's something I always do in my design projects. Keep working at it until I'm completely 100% happy, and then I press the button and Chord goes into production, and then I leave the project and don't update.
And at that point, it's done. You've done your work.
I've done my work.
Now it's their turn.
There's no firmware updates. There's no changes because we've got the best that we can do at that time with that hardware.
Right.
And when a new project comes along, it'll be new FPGAs, new design, lessons learned from other projects will go into the mix. So software updates are when you screw it up.
Sure.
And if you make sure that everything is correct and your testing is correct and the listing tests are all done, you're not going to be able to significantly improve on that project.
Right. Makes sense.
So that's the way that we work. We often get criticized, why don't you do updates? And all that kind of stuff. And this is the reason I want to make sure it's right first time.
Right from the get-go.
Right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And it's something that is built into me partly because of my experience of designing with major semiconductor companies.
Right.
When if you're spending $1 million on a mask set, you don't want to run through and
because it's going to cost so much money.
Cost so much, so you make sure it's right first time.
Yeah.
And prototype it and do all your measurements, do your tests, and make sure everything's right. And that's the way I work with FPGAs. Because of course FPGAs you can change it quite easily.
Right. Yeah. Program it however you want.
That ethos is part of me. It's hardware. It's not software.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, so let's see. We got Musictron. That's I don't know. Well, maybe tomorrow we might be talking about some headphones. There is something maybe in that category. So let's see. It says, here's one for you. It says, does the Dave take advantage of 100% of the Quartet's performance, or will there eventually be a Dave 2 that is optimized with a Quartet in mind? Probably some of that we don't know or can't comment on either way.
Can't comment on
that.
So some of the things I've been doing is now I've got hardware, metalwork and everything else. I've been taking it through to a few select audio files. One of the guys in Singapore, who I know really well, he's a huge Chord fan. He's got 2 Daves. He's got a TT. He's got 2 M scalers. He's got a Blue.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
He's got a Mojo, a Mojo 2. And he started off by buying a Mojo. So
that was his drug. He got hooked.
That was the thing that hooked him.
It's always that's a smart way to do it, though.
Yeah.
Get the most affordable product, the one to just hook people in, then just keep reeling them in because the sound is awesome.
So just giving an idea about this guy, he lives with his wife in his apartment, but he has another apartment for his hi-fi. So
that sounds awesome.
The lounge has got his main system in there, and the bedroom has got another system, a mini system.
That's awesome.
So anyway, because he's a keen fan, and because I know him very well, and we're good friends, I've plugged Quartet into his Dave.
Ah, cool.
And I like to do this with particularly products that are very, very new, with new stuff inside it. That aren't a simple iteration of something else, which Quartet obviously is. Because the problem you've got is that I've been working on this since 2018, so it's 6 years, lots of small changes has gone into it. And you don't get a good feeling of scale when you've had hundreds of iterations that have improved things. But when you plug it into somebody else's system and get their reaction,
you get the real
get the real picture of how much of an improvement this thing actually represents.
Yep.
So on his system, we plugged it in, and suddenly the instruments just sounded like reality. It was not a small change; it was a night and day change. So that was really exciting.
Yeah.
Because suddenly
rewarding too. Yeah.
Really rewarding.
Yep.
I tried it on another audio file, and you could hardly hear the difference. This was not using Dave. The problem in that case turned out to be his power amp, which was a Class D switching amp.
Yeah.
And what Quartet is trying to do is to reconstruct transients more accurately, so that the brain can perceive timbre, locate instruments in space, separate individual instruments out, get the low frequency pitch right. All of those things are heavily dependent on the timing of transients.
Sure.
Digital screws up the timing of transients.
Sure.
And the only way of recovering the timing of transients without any error is through the M scalar approach.
Right.
And Quartet is just that level further on. So with the Singapore guy and Dave, it put Dave in a completely new category.
Okay.
So yeah, for sure it works well with Dave.
Yep.
But if you're using Dave with a Class D power amplifier,
don't do it.
Well, you're going to get an improvement, but it's
not going to be the same level.
Nothing like the same level.
So will the quartet be in a similar? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you guys, this hasn't been decided. Will it be in a similar form factor as the Dave?
Oh yeah.
Or, okay,
So
cool.
the,
So they'll still fit in those racks, basically.
the metalwork is. I mean, we've got pre-production metalwork now.
Right.
There's still a few tweaks to do on the metalwork side, but it's got a separate power supply.
Okay.
And then on top you've got Quartet.
Cool.
So photographs have been published on it, so people can see
Perfect.
what it
Perfect.
looks like
From the pre-production
unit.
perspective. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So yeah, it's core all range product, core all stage with a separate power supply.
Sweet. Very cool. Let's see. So hopefully that answered your question, Mauricio. Thank you for that question. And so you just recently flew. You've been like world traveling all over the place.
It's been a bit crazy.
I know I saw you last night. We were both going, I was finishing setting up and you had just flown in. It was pretty late. I don't know what time it was.
So I was,
and you're like, I'm tired. I flew in from Vietnam.
I was in 3 continents in 2 days. So Singapore, Vietnam, Singapore for Formula One to see this guy and do the more listening tests. And then London and stayed overnight in London, hotel, and then flew out. So I was pretty tired.
Yeah, I was going to say that's, well, and then the different time zones and trying to keep up with it. It's like
14-hour shift.
That's hard. That's hard. I don't know how you do it. That's hard.
Sleeping pills.
Yeah, really. And just probably trying to sleep whenever possible, right? Whenever you can, because we need sleep. So you got to...
Sleeping pills and adrenaline.
And there you go. And caffeine. For me, it's always caffeine.
Oh, I can't have caffeine.
No?
No, I get migraines.
Oh,
so,
that's not fun.
Flashing lights and caffeine is a definitely...
We don't want that because migraines suck.
Yeah.
So with the new Quartet, I don't know, this might be a Chord thing after you hand it off. Do we have a ballpark for pricing, or?
I have no idea.
No idea, okay.
So,
okay.
But they...
more mirroring along the line of Dave, though, obviously.
Oh, it's
or even more expensive.
It's going to be more expensive than Dave.
Yeah.
I hope not too more expensive. But for sure it's going to be more expensive than I know that because I've got a rough idea of the bill of materials cost.
Yeah, of course.
They won't disclose to me what the bill of materials cost is because I'm separate from Chord.
Yep.
They they've assured me that they'll work in the standard margins, so it's not something that they're going to pitch at a particular price. They always price things up fairly, so it's a multiple of the bill of materials cost. So we're just going to have to wait and see.
Okay. So we're thinking, with a little luck, sometime next year-ish, maybe second quarter-ish.
So I would be severely upset if we're not showing it here next year.
By Can Jam SoCal. Yeah. Because this would be the premium place to premiere it.
That would be a disaster.
Yeah.
I hope it would be much earlier than that.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe even for New York or something.
It's like I said, I've already been beaten up by Chord. Why are you late? I've got to get these things right. And we can't go into production for something that's not right.
For sure.
And this process of going through the maths, building the new measurement tools, that's been really valuable because it meant that even if it was a case of the results were as expected, it means you know for certain that it's as expected.
Right.
In this case, it threw up something really interesting because I discovered something new, and I got better sound quality. Now it's probably an incremental change, not a night and day change, but it's an incremental change. But that's the way I work. I'm going to push the envelope until we can no longer push that envelope.
Yeah.
And then we're done.
Till you hit the ceiling. Yeah.
Till we hit the ceiling.
Yeah. Unless you break through the ceiling, because you never know.
Well,
it's possible.
That's Quartet. I've definitely broken through.
Yeah, with these learnings, you take it to the next level.
The changes that we've heard.
That's so cool.
It's been really, really valuable.
And so when it debuted, were people able to listen to it too as well, or
not members of the public? But
just a private group or something?
We did let reviewers.
Industry and reviewers. That's cool.
And there was some really positive reaction to that. One reviewer, who I won't mention, he listened to it, and then he went completely silent. For at least half a minute, maybe a minute, he went completely silent. And I thought, shit, he either really loves this, or
or he hates it.
He really
one or the
hates
other.
it.
Yeah.
And he said, "Wow, wow." That's exactly what he said. Wow. So yeah,
that's the reaction you want, though. That's when you know, okay, I did my job. I've done the work I set out to do.
I really love the fact he had to process it in his mind how different the sound was.
Right.
And it was just a great reaction. So
I love that.
I'm really hoping that audiophiles get to, music lovers and audiophiles get to hear this, and we get the same reaction.
I'm sure you will.
Because it's always a great buzz when somebody else enjoys their music more.
Of course. Well, I mean, it's your job, but you also, to an extent, want to make people happy with the products you produce, because you know how much the community loves you. So there is that always probably in the back of your mind, like, I want to make something that people love.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember when I left university, all my fellow students went into defence, and I decided, no, music, audio, that's my passion.
Yeah, that spreads joy too. So
it's better than killing people.
Yeah, spread some joy instead.
But I'm not denigrating defence.
No, because we all need it. Yeah, we need it. Everybody does. Yep.
Very bad people on this planet.
But you got to do what you love at the end of the day.
Yeah, but it's much easier to know that people are happy. From the result of your work. And of course, a defence engineer, people are happy when you're properly defended and got proper deterrence and there's no war.
And that's a beautiful thing too.
That's a good thing too.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
We have to be prepared.
Yep, I do. I agree. It says, I think he's just making a joke. Marcus says, I think this is a joke. Please call the Chord Q2 the Chord 2 test. I don't know. He's making a joke. That's pretty silly. That's a good one. So what from Can Jam, like, because you've been walking around talking to a lot of different people and participants here, and then maybe, I don't know how much time you've had to listen or check stuff out, but what are you excited about here?
I've had no time.
Me either. I've had zero time.
No time.
And it won't happen for me till either tomorrow morning or late tomorrow evening.
All morning I was just talking to the guys, and then I have my seminar to give, and I've got another seminar tomorrow, which is quite an interesting one. It's about listening tests and how you objectively quantify sound quality.
That's cool.
Because the problem we have is we're listening on gear. We're listening to recordings of which we have no idea what the provenance is.
Right.
And sometimes you make a change, and that change is balancing another distortion, but actually you're adding another distortion, and it's just making it, like, for example, if you've got a system that's too rich, warm and soft sounding, then you want to brighten it up.
Yep,
and if you use a distortion that sharpens the sound up, it becomes more balanced, but you're going round and round in a circle.
In a loop, that never ends.
That never ends and going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
What I want to do is to reproduce live unamplified sound. So you need to have a way of objectively assessing sound quality when you don't know what the provenance of your recordings are.
Yeah.
Or your transducers, how good are your headphones, how good are the microphones, or that sort of thing. Part of that solution is we've been doing our own recordings.
That's cool.
And that means I've got a good oral memory. I can remember what it sounded like at the original live event, and then listening back with Dave's and M scalers on my system at home, you can get a good feeling for how far away you are from that. From that. But when you're listening to recordings that you have no provenance with, how do you make the right assessment as to whether you're making a real improvement or not? And the way you do it is to listen to lots of different factors.
Okay.
But the key is variation. So if the system is more expressive, if there's more variation, then you're fundamentally making an improvement.
Okay.
So it's not about tweaking it to make it sound warmer or brighter or whatever.
Sure.
It's about making the system be more expressive. And when it's more expressive, it's more emotional.
Right.
It's more emotional with the music.
Yep.
And it's being emotional with the music, which is
The ultimate goal,
which
right?
is what the goal of
That
this
should
thing
be.
is.
You meet a lot of different people in the hobby, and it may not be for them yet, but I think the longer you're in it, the more you realize that when you're listening to music, that's what we're looking for, is for it to evoke emotion, bring you to tears, bring you joy. If it's a sad song, you feel that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
if you aren't feeling those things or that emotion, something in the
Something's
system isn't right.
seriously wrong.
It's like it's not really producing it. And it could be, if it's a speaker system, it could be that the room isn't properly treated, so you got some really bad reflections happening or something like that. Or in the digital domain, it needs a lot more of your wizardry. You know what I mean? So because the digital domain is crazy, right? Or it could be the stylus on your turn. It could be so many different things, but the emotion is the end result.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, we just got the 5-minute warning, so let me see here. Somebody was just saying. Okay. So Mauricio is saying what is clear and appreciated by Chord users is that Chord doesn't release new products unless there's a real improvement. That makes the Quartet an exciting release. So yeah, it's giving you guys props. And I was talking about this with another CEO from Soundcar from Odyssey, and he was saying the same thing. Like, earlier on it was different for Odyssey, but then later as they evolved, they really don't want to they want to be able to improve it significantly. Absolutely. Before they just, and I think that's your philosophy too. And I think the best manufacturers or best industry leaders like yourself, that is the philosophy. Absolutely. And it's better for the consumer too, because who wants to spend every year $10,000 for the new latest and greatest? I mean, maybe some people do with unlimited funding, but let's be real, not everybody has that. Normal people, we want to be able to have something for many years and love it and appreciate it, and don't feel like, it's going to be replaced in a year.
The other issue is that it takes years and years and years
of research and development,
to build up a reputation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yep.
Okay, so I'm really fortunate because if I say something's good, lots of followers of me will just go out and buy it.
Yep.
Some of them just buy it, not listen to it. I always say that's wrong.
You got to listen to it.
Listen to it first. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
But that's taken years
to build.
Build. You can lose that in an instant.
It's true.
By releasing something that's not right.
That's true.
So that's something I'm cognizant of. But remember, I do projects because I want to do the project.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm not paid by Chord to do design work.
Right.
I get paid from Chord when they ship a product.
Yep.
So it's royalty based.
Yep.
So
it's imperative to you.
So
that
I'm more like an author.
Yeah.
And I'm writing a book because I want that story to be told.
Yep.
I want that design.
I love that analogy.
That's
fantastic.
I want that design to work for me. Quartet is about making it work for me. If only one person on the planet, like my Singapore friend, loves Quartet, that's fine.
Right.
Because I love it.
Yep.
That's what motivates me to get things done. It's important.
I like that. I like that a lot. What time? Let's see. All right, we have any other questions? We're about ready to wrap up. If anybody else dropped your last question in here, where are you off to next? And we'll see if any questions come in.
Actually, I'm on holiday.
Good for you. You deserve it.
So,
you need a break.
Yeah, the wife and I were on a cruise.
Oh, cool.
For a week. And then it's going to be CanJam Dallas.
That's right, yeah.
And then it'll be Thailand.
Oh, cool.
And then Hong Kong for CanJam, New York CanJam.
The cycle goes again, yeah.
It goes on.
That's cool.
And when we launch Quartet, then there'll be lots of trips.
Then you're going to be on a world tour.
Yeah.
Frequent flyer miles.
I do enough to create too much carbon dioxide as it is. But,
All right, let's see. He says, I feel like in terms of audio, people get really caught up in the latest and greatest, and when something new comes out for some reason, think what they have at the time is automatically sounds. But yeah, I mean, I think, especially if they're newer to the hobby, I think the more you're in the hobby, and if you like the way something sounds, you learn to love it and appreciate it, and you don't necessarily feel the need to always upgrade it, you know? So yeah, I think that's a really good point. Thank you for that point. And then he says, I don't think we can talk about anything in that right now. He says anything new in the sub 3K range, just stay tuned probably. Just wait and see. You know, most manufacturers like to keep things pretty tight-lipped because, you know, they have current products that are still current and great products. So stay tuned is what I always tell everybody. Well, thank you so much, Rob. Always a pleasure. I always love spending time with you, and thank you for everybody that joined us and for your questions. Stay tuned here. We have coming up next Zach from ZMF to close out the day, and then we'll be here streaming all day tomorrow till the end of the show. So we appreciate all of you, and we'll see you on the next stream. Thanks again.
thank you.